We're back at the largest little air show in Victoria, and I remember, I think I promised you guys something. A Corsair. There it is. Let's go have a look. Well, we promised an F4U Corsair, and here it is. We're with Jack Price with his big F4U Corsair. What can you tell us about your beautiful model here?
Well, this is a Comp ARF Corsair. It started off as a Comp ARF kit, so what I wanted to do with this plane is I wanted it to look like it had been in service. And so when I did some research, I found some fairly decent pictures of planes that were at the end of the war, World War II, 1945, flying off the Bunker Hill. They were in really pretty beat up shape at that point in time. The yellow ring is the Tokyo Raid, and it was only on for one day. And that's what the plane is built to represent.
I did notice when I came up beside the aircraft here that the stepping strip is actually well worn on this and actually exposing the aircraft underneath.
If I go through the pictures and documentation, you'll see that on a lot of these. They were all worn from the guys walking around on them. I guess the salt and whatnot on their feet and their shoes would grind away the surface of the paint.
Our pilot's pretty clean though.
Yeah, he's a little too clean. I should get some goop on him. So. And the plane is 110-inch wingspan. It has the 5-cylinder Moki radial on it, running the solo 3-bladed scale prop. It's a fast plane, actually. You know, we try to fly these things scale. You know, in a downwind leg, this thing's really scooting along at well over 100 miles an hour. So it's a great plane to fly. The wing is very forgiving. It does everything very, very well. Aerobatics, you know, like rolls and loops or Immelmans or split S's or whatever. I do fly it in competition, scale competition. The original Comp ARF is a pretty scale looking plane, and this has some features on it that the original kit didn't have. Little things, minor things that you wouldn't notice normally: wingtip lights, fairings over the flap, hinge mechanisms, little details at the back like the antennas. And
so this will actually mechanism for folding the wings while you're moving the model. It can fold up, or you just do it in a static position.
You can start the plane and fold them as you're taxiing down or up. You know, that's the idea of it.
What is it about the F4U Corsair that really attracts modelers, do you think?
Well, I think first of all, it's unusual. You know, it's distinctive because of its bent wing design. And, you know, that was done for a couple of reasons. One of them was to make it so the gear legs weren't too long for carrier landings, because these things would take a real beating landing on a carrier. And also they ran some pretty giant props on them, and they wanted lots of clearance for that too. But, you know, I think it's the bent wing. It's very obvious in the air when you see it. There's no other plane that looks like it. And the, you know, the pilots that actually flew these loved the plane. It was a wonderful plane to fly, you know, so.
Do you know any of the background of the real pilots, their loves and hates of this aircraft?
The original aircraft had the cockpit actually further forward. They found that it wasn't possible to have it there for a number of reasons. They moved it back, but in doing so, the length of cowl in front of the pilot's face is, I mean, it's considerable. It's probably the better part of 20 feet. The plane, when it taxied, the pilots couldn't see anything, and they weren't very happy about that. What Voight did is they did two things. They raised the seat and the pilot up, and he sits up nice and high in these planes so he can see well. And they raised the tail wheel to bring the nose down a little bit, and that somewhat solved the problem. Although, like any of these big World War II planes, the taxiing with a tail wheel, they had to do a lot of S-turns to make sure they weren't going to run into any. It doesn't matter whether it was a Mustang or a P-47, they all had to do that. So, and when you're flying in a scale competition, you need to simulate that as well. You know, when you're taxiing out for your takeoff, you need to do S-turns and such, because their judges will be watching for that.
There he is. Settles the plane down, a little bit of drop. And a perfect landing. How about a big round of applause? Oh.
Well, there's no doubt that we saw a really beautiful Corsair today at the largest little air show, but there's so much more to see at this show. We got a P-38, we got the Super Stearman, we got the Mosquito. We're going to be back in another episode to show you more of this show. It's just too cool. Thanks for watching.